Well, we are back for episode 2 of The Last of Us, and continuing on from episode 1. Again, another pretty good episode. I haven't got many complaints about it. I think the only major things are, I feel like certain things may need to be explained a bit more, and there's other things where, to see how well done it is, we're just going to have to see what they actually do with it going into further episodes. Just how consistent they are with certain things they introduce, especially with what we have as, for what's replacing the spore aspect of The Last of Us. That's the part where it could possibly be a mistake in what they've changed about it. But other than that, there's a couple of silly things that I think are probably worth pointing out. But yeah, again, overall, a pretty good episode. They haven't really, again, they haven't really strayed that far from the game yet, other than, of course, the spore stuff. But other than that, it's pretty, in some places at least, it is 1-for-1. In other places, we've more or less just expanded it. There's certain things at the end of the episode that they've changed where I think if they adapted what was actually in the game for that part of it, it probably would have been a little better, I think. But yeah, other than that, I don't really think I've got much preamble left in me. So I think we're just jumping into the episode, and then we can talk about some of the things that come up. But yeah, it starts off with another flashback in 2003, and I guess this is the like ground zero for where this apocalypse stuff came from. And we start off in Indonesia, and again, I'm quite liking these opening bits where it just gives you a little bit of information. I don't know if they're gonna do this pretty much every episode. It seems like they probably will, just until you get an understanding of what this virus thing is that we're dealing with. But yeah, these parts are pretty well acted. Interesting enough to, you're not sitting there bored or anything like that. But yeah, it's this woman that's been called in, and she's like a professor of mycology. Yeah, that word there. I think it's, University of Indonesia, studying like mycology, which is the, we'll talk about it when we get to it. I don't know the technical terms. So she's been called into this place to examine this specimen, and then it's the Orthocordyceps stuff that has come out of a human. She's just testing this woman, so it's essentially just giving you a bit of info on how the outbreak actually started. So you see like the bite there, it does get, and it just kind of shows you the stuff inside. And then she pulls that shit out, and it's so this is essentially what we now have in place of spores, I assume. Where it's like this like tentacle stuff that moves. But that is the fungus stuff. So it's just kind of, it goes into it a bit, and it's essentially, she's like, oh, there's no vaccine, there's no medicine, there's no cure for this. She's just pretty much straight to, you have to bomb the city. That's probably your only way to actually prevent this from spreading. I don't know. I don't know if I'd say she's probably jumped the gun too quick, but it seems like something. Again, she studied it for like 20 years or something like that. So I mean, she probably knows better than everybody else, and it's just, can I just go and be with my family? Until pretty much till just to die with them, essentially. But yeah, I think these opening bits are quite decent. But yeah, it's just bomb the city. That is your best bet, just to stop this spread. But yeah, so now we can get into all this stuff. So yeah, I assume they've just been sitting up all night watching her, because like, yeah, some of this stuff. But yeah, it's just about how, she was infected 3 weeks ago, but, Joel's like, nah. At some point, you're going to turn, and you have kind of Tess that is more on the side of like, well, there must be something here. There must be something going on if she still hasn't turned after 3 weeks, and you actually like look at her bite on her arm, and it's pretty much cleared up. So yeah, Joel's pretty much just like, just fucking, go and get a battery some other way. We'll kill her, or we'll just go back, let the guards kill her. It's better them than us. So it's kind of in this episode, for us that have played the game, we know what they're setting up. Especially in this episode, it's like you just have Joel that has no interest whatsoever in bonding with Ellie or anything like that, knowing anything about her. It's just to obviously set it up so it's a lot more impactful as we go along through the show. I still think with Ellie in this, I think she's, in terms of acting, I still think she's the weaker link. In most parts she's fine. In other parts, some lines are delivered, really not that well. It's just like, you could have had another take there. That's what you would have been better doing. I'm playing it. But yeah, they're just gonna continue on to go and get their battery, their car, and all the weapons and all that sort of stuff that they've been promised. Yeah, and it's also, she also tells them about, she's going out west to for the possibility of a cure. Joel's like, we've heard all this shit before. We've heard it all before, so it does have like, they've been when it comes to the Fireflies, they have been trying this stuff for ages. So then they go on their way. I still think I think all the sort of makeup of the city is really good. There's not really any parts where it comes across like, oh, you're in a studio here. So most of it does look really good. So yeah, I will like mention that bit. I just find it funny that like these are where the bombs hit the city, yet we've got like this building standing in. I find that quite strange. How it's not a big problem. It's just like, what? So a bomb hit here, but that building's it's like right next to the building. So yeah, they just have a conversation about, we're gonna go the long way or the short way, but they're gonna go up to the hotel. They're gonna go to the hotel to take a look to see what way they can go, to see what way's safest. So we just have stuff with, because there's a line in this where Ellie's like, talking about the zombies. Where the fuck are they already? And just the way the line's delivered is really, really not that good. But again, as I say, most of it's fine. But there's just parts of it where it really just falls flat. But in here, you just, you find out things about it, like, she's an orphan, that sort of stuff. How she got bit, which, again, for us that have played it, we know how she got bit in the mall. I imagine we're probably going to get, an episode dedicated to that. I don't know. So, Ellie's just talking about things she's heard about. Some of the infected have spores that, go out of them. But in this, like, Joel and that do say, nah, that's just, people are just making stuff up. So I don't know if that is going to be a thing or not. It's hard to tell. We just have to see what they actually do with it. And then she says, oh, I've heard about, there's some infected that see in the dark like bats. So you have like Joel and Tess sort of share a look like, oh, we're obviously talking about the clickers. So we're setting that up for a little bit later. Yeah, they go into this hotel and you just kind of get Ellie fanning about a bit. Yeah, again with Ellie in this, I think there's parts of it that she can be a little annoying. Other parts, it's, not so annoying. But I do quite like the sort of bickering between her and Joel. There is parts of it that do get a little laugh out of me. But they're gonna go up here, and Tessa's got to jump through this bit up there to go round and let them in the door. So this part is just kind of showing you that, Joel doesn't have any interest whatsoever, because he just, starts attempting kind of small talk. Certain questions he's like, pass. I'm not talking to you about that. So that's essentially what we're doing there. So she's like playing with a knife, and then he asks about a knife. But yeah, he's just got because you see like the look on his face when Tess goes off, and he kind of looks back at Ellie as like, for fuck's sake. Can't really be bothered with it whatsoever. But yeah, even like, I did miss that part. Because she was like pissing about over here, and then this, he did grab her arm and then quickly fucking let it go. So he's still more on the side of, let's just get rid of her. Is it really worth the risk? So then we get to the part where, this is kind of the part where I don't know where it's going to go. With what is being introduced instead, I guess, instead of the spores. Where you have Ellie say that, oh, they're all connected. And Tess is like, yeah, more than you know. So I did write this down, because I think we do need to fucking talk about it. Where was it? Yeah, it's the fungus grows underground. Long fibers like wires, some over a mile long. So if you step on a patch of cordyceps in one place, you can wake a dozen infected in another place. So it's just something that, it's used for this episode, but it's if they're going to be consistent with it. If it's just going to be a one-time thing, it's like I don't really see the point in adding it. And it just kind of leaves me with more questions, which we will. I think that we can talk about it more when we get further to the end. But yeah, essentially, so all those infected laying there, if someone is in another place and steps on a patch of cordyceps, the cordyceps will then wake the infected up, and they will come running to that area. So I think one of the questions I do have is like, so is it just limited to the city where we have these, like, how they communicate? Because yeah, I don't know if they're going to be consistent with it or not. It could be something that is just thrown in for particular reasons for at the end of the episode. So yeah, I don't know, but I think once we see a bit more how it works, maybe we can talk about it a little more. So yeah, they've come up here just to see what way they can go. So they can't go that way because all those infected there. So Joel's like, the museum. The museum's probably our best bet. So they go off there. And yeah, I am surprised, because they have to go up, like, to be able to cross to another building, because there's a little walkway up there. But I'm just thinking, do you really have to go in this building? I didn't really notice it the first time I watched it, but it's like you could probably at least attempt to climb up this stuff, and you're on the top of the building. I mean, because if you look at this building, it's like clear that there's been infected in there at some point. But I can only assume they go in there. They do go there because they've been in there before, and there wasn't anything in there last time. But yeah, I guess. But yeah, I'm surprised they didn't at least attempt to go up here or up there. It looks like you could probably climb up there. But yeah, the door's open as well, so I'm like, I don't know. I really trust it going in there. But I guess this stuff is, I'm not, I guess it's just cordyceps, whatever. So he like bashes it. He's like, it's bone dry, which, most likely means there's not going to be any in there. Because it's not, connected up to them. So they go in there, have a little look, until eventually they come across this guy that's been all clawed up. So instantly you've got Joel like, from now on, keep fucking silent. Just keep silent. So I think they set the tone right. It is quite intense. There's a lot of tension sort of built up. You're just like, if we played the game, we kind of know how it goes. But yeah, I think they do a good job at that. But yeah, you're just like, oh, so it's probably gonna be clickers then. So yeah, they go up here. You do have Ellie. So I don't know what this thing is down here. There's like a little thing on the floor. Because I don't know. I guess that's some sort of live cordyceps. So I guess that's the stuff you can't step on. I'm not too sure. But you get Ellie stands on like a hand and it breaks. But yeah, they get in there and then they hear clickers. I think the clickers are well done. The noises are quite good. The look of them is pretty good as well. But yeah, I did like the touch as well that he, even explains to Ellie without talking that, they can hear, they can't see. So they've got to deal with them. So yeah, they end up. What is it that happens that sets them off? I honestly I forget now. I don't know why I've forgotten that. But something set them off. What was it? I don't know, but they were set off, and then it's a lot of chaos. Tess and Ellie are getting chased about. But yeah, I think that I think pretty much everything to do with the clickers is pretty much well done with them. It makes them a bit unique. So yeah, they do manage to kill them. Joel fucking steps on a bit of glass, so that sets them off again. So they kill one of them, then the other one, and then they're pretty much out of there. Tessa's like fucked her ankle, and it's like kind of here where you're like, oh, something's happened. Something's, she's a bit upset about something. She gets like pissed off with Joel for not being, not just accepting that we've, got to win, and we're out of there. So yeah, she's just a bit pissed off with him for obvious reasons that come up later on. Yeah, they're now on their way to this state building. They show up. There's nobody there. So then they go and check inside the place, and everybody's dead. So similar to the game. It's just in a sense, it's I don't know. I just think the way the game done it was a lot better. Made a lot more sense where it's, Fedra come after them, and then, we'll talk about it. But yeah, Joel comes to the conclusion that, one of them must have been infected, and the healthy, fought the what are they called? Fought the fucking infected, and, they both lost. So that's essentially what's given. So Tess is kind of a bit pissed off with this, kind of freaking out. And then it turns out, she's infected. She's been bitten, she's been bitten. So just, the exact same as the game. Because, I wasn't sure if it was going to be different. Because I had been hearing that she was apparently in 5 episodes. So, unless it's flashback to something, I don't know. But I thought they might have been changing that to it. I don't know. So she's just, just showing Joel, like, oh, this shit's real, like showing Ellie's arm. So Tess is definitely, she's got full belief in it that, it's a chance to sort of redeem yourself for all the shit we did. Yes, like she says, like, set everything right. And she's just like, take her to Bill and Frank's, and Joel's like, they won't take her. Joel's like, I don't want to fucking do this. I don't want to have to do this. But then something happens, and now we can cut. So yeah, one of these infected jumps up, and Joel kills it. And then this is when. So then you have the cordyceps. I'll kind of go through it frame by frame. So you see the cordyceps sort of growing around his hands. So that's gonna warn the other. That's gonna get the. You know, I don't know. So what is it? I guess it detects that a thing, you know, an infected it's taken over has died. So yeah, I'm still quite lost on exactly, you know, unless they go into it a bit more in the next episode, how exactly it works. You know, is what has to happen for it to go, you know, my infected zombies go that way. You know, do you just, I guess she did say that, you know, if you step on it. So yeah, I assume it's just whenever it's, you know, it's similar to trees. You know, trees have that where if something lands on them or something like that, it releases like, you know, it releases a certain thing as like a defense mechanism. So I don't know if it's a similar thing, but from where, you know, all those zombies we seen earlier were, it's like that was a good mile away. You know, although she said, you know, it's over, like they could stretch over a mile. But yeah, and again, it just so happens that we have a patch right in here as well. So I'm not sure. Again, it's going to depend on what they do with it going forward. It could become a problem, or they could, you know, they could just be inconsistent with, you know, when it comes up and when it doesn't come up. But yeah, again, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure if it was the best way to go. I don't think it's that big a problem at the moment. It just depends what they do with it. So that then wait, but it's like, well, what happens if, you know, because it transitions to the zombies that we seen earlier waking up, like the cordyceps sort of holds on to them. But it's like, what if you know, do the infected just lay about, you know, near where the cordyceps patches are until they're called upon? You know, I'm not too sure. And it's just like, what happens if there's an infected that's not near here? Then yeah, again, it's just, I think it's going to need a bit more explaining. You know, I don't know. Maybe someone can explain it to me more. I don't know, but it's, you know, again, it's just gonna depend on what way it goes. So they hear all them fucking coming. So Tess is like, you need to take them. She starts pouring out, you know, petrol or something like that. There's like a load of grenades in here because that's where the fireflies were. So yeah, it's the same as Joel sort of doesn't really hesitate that much when she says, you know, save who you can save. So he's just like, right, come on. He drags Ellie off. So then she gets her lighter out, ready for the infected to come in, and it's not working. So this is a bit where it's like, you could have just, you got a load of grenades in there. You know, I would have just went for the grenade. That would probably be the best option, because she's like trying to light it and it's just not fucking doing anything. You could have just thrown a you could have just thrown a grenade. So then we get this really fucking weird thing where that comes up to her and then puts all this shit in her mouth. It's quite, you know, a bit disgusting, isn't it? So yeah, she manages to get it to light and then fucking explodes the place, giving them time to leave. And then that's pretty much, that's what we end on. Because yeah, Ellie didn't want to leave Tess behind. She was like, we can't fucking leave her. I'm not going with you. We can't leave her. But yeah, he dragged her out. So I don't know. I guess the point of this part is, I came to some fucking conclusion when I watched it. Now I'm like, I don't know, I forget. You know, I was just kind of thinking, you know, what is she thinking about? But that's the whole episode. So yeah, there was the odd thing, you know, the silly bit that doesn't really affect much, and then yeah, just the stuff with the cordyceps patches. I'm not quite clear on exactly how it works, but you know, if it's gonna be a problem or not will depend on what we see when we go forward, and that's kind of been the case for both episodes. You know, for whatever they've introduced, it's dependent on what they do in the future. But yeah, as I say, pretty good episode. We didn't really achieve too much with the episode. It wasn't the fastest it could be, but you know, I'm pretty much fine with what they done. You know, they kind of set up the stuff with Joel and Ellie not really getting on. Joel just having no interest in Ellie whatsoever, about knowing about her, you know, not wanting to bond with her, you know, and all the other stuff. So, you know, I'm fine with episodes like that. You know, whereas you watch like an episode of Willow and they do fuck all for an hour. But at least we have done certain things. Not really saying it was a slow episode. Just wasn't, you know, that fast. But yeah, it still goes in pretty quickly anyway when you watch it. But yeah, that's episode 2. I don't know what more I've really got to say on it. But yeah, as I said, the openings of the episodes I'm quite liking. Just to get a little tidbit, I think's, you know, fine to do. The way it's done, you know, it's not just, oh, we're just gonna dump a load of shit on you and you figure it out. You know, it's kind of been, here's a little bit here and then here's, so hopefully, I don't know if they're going to continue these sort of opening parts just to give you a bit more context on things. I do think the cordyceps stuff, I would like to fucking have a bit more on that for how exactly, you know, again, I don't know how that bit's going to go, but I assume that's what they've replaced the spores with. Although we don't know if the spores are going to show up, considering it was mentioned earlier in the episode. Maybe they do have certain infected that splurt out, you know, shit. I guess that might come up. I'm not too sure, but yeah, the opening parts are pretty good. But yeah, it just kind of sets up, you know, there's nothing to cure this shit. What else did we have? Again, yeah, the stuff with Joe and Ellie was, you know, pretty good. Again, yeah, I just think it's the acting from, you know, Ellie isn't as good as it should be. You know, it's from, you know, it's fine. I've kind of come around a bit more to Pedro Pascal as Joel. You know, the first episode I wasn't that keen on him, but in this episode I thought, you know, he grew on me a little bit more. So we'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, just the cordyceps stuff, I don't know. I think I've just got questions about it, really. But yeah, if they're consistent with it over the course of, you know, for however long they go, it will work fine. It is a shame that we have to lead into fucking Last of Us Part 2. So again, it's, you know, I've said it loads of times now. It's just after one season, you might as well not even watch. We're gonna have to see what happens. But yeah, so far it's been pretty good. I'd be quite happy with a good first season, and that will do me. But yeah, I've enjoyed both episodes so far. I think this episode is better than the first episode. A lot more enjoyable. Just, you know, seeing what the you know, the world outside of the QZ is like. But yeah, I think that's all I got to say on this. But yeah, that stuff with because I just came up to it again. That stuff with that fucking thing. Yeah, it is just, I don't, it does add a bit more fucking fear to it. Just the sort of look of that. But yeah, I assume that this stuff just, you know, consumes their whole body, takes over everything. But yeah, I've just, the only thing I've got questions about is just the cordyceps patches that you can just stand on one and then it alerts a load others. I think it adds more. I think it does add more of a fear factor to it, that you could just stumble upon these. But from what we've actually seen of it, it just looks like, you know, it could be anywhere. There's not really any real way of telling. But yeah, again, yeah, I think one of the main questions is it just limited to in the cities? Where the cordyceps thinks, in a sense, not thinks like us, but assume that's where more people are going to be. So I don't know if it's still going to be when we're out in the sort of wastelands of America. I don't know if it's going to be if it's going to come up, but yeah, if they've just brought it in for this episode, then that's just fucking pointless, really bringing it in. But yeah, if they stay consistent with it, fine, I guess. But yeah, I guess that's what they've replaced the spores with. But I think that's all I've got to say anyway. I think I've pretty much just repeated myself. But that is episode 2, so I will be back for episode 3. I think probably the same, probably Tuesday. I think the same. I did like watch it twice yesterday, and then I couldn't be fucking arsed doing a recording. So that's why I'm a little bit late. But yeah, I will see you on the next one.